You know, people say that. I don't even know if that's possible. People always say bookmark your conversation, whatever that means. I'm going to turn the call. By the way, the music that was playing was James Brown, The Boss, which apparently is John Mercure's walk-up music. Well, we're not ready for you to walk up yet.
Okay,
so,
I won't.
right. Well, thank you guys for being here. I see a lot of new faces. Thanks for coming to the circuit and for being a part of this program, the Lunch Circuit. This was the very first program that we launched out of our entrepreneurship initiatives back in, I believe, May of 2017. So we do this once a month, second Wednesday typically, except for March. We take the month of December off. In March, we do the third Wednesday to make room for our annual Career Expo, which is coming up. Mark your calendars on March 13th, Cherokee Career Expo, which is our annual Career Expo with about almost 40 of our top industries that are going to have booths there. So definitely make plans to tell friends and colleagues and anybody that you know who's in transition or looking for the next step. It's a great opportunity. Well, my name is Jonathan Chambers, and I get to work with this awesome team, the Cherokee Office of Economic Development. And we do everything from product development, developing land for sites and buildings to bring companies here, to growing existing companies for jobs, for opportunities for the future workforce, to film. We have a camera-ready liaison that the State of Georgia Economic Development Office created almost 7 years ago to position a person in every single county in Georgia to be the liaison between the scouts, the film scouts, and the locations. So we have a person who handles that, expedites the permitting process, as well as is the liaison to all the location scouts for both TV and film. We focus on workforce development with our Workforce Collaborative, with the Career Expo, with brand new internship programs that are launching here. We also focus on entrepreneurship with events like this that are designed to bring people together to get out of their home office, to get out of their coffee shops, to find a common place like the circuit, to collaborate, to sit around the same table, and figure out how to solve their problems together. Our office has a focus here, really that we launched just a couple months ago called Cherokee by Choice. And it's really our goal behind this is to get you guys to tell us your story. Why did you make Cherokee your choice? Why did you choose to be here to work, to play, but also to live? And so you can use that hashtag, excuse me, we'd love to hear your story, because we all have a story to tell, and your story is very unique. So if you would use that hashtag, whether it's today or in the near future, we'd love to capture those stories to find out why did you make Cherokee your choice. So our entrepreneurship initiative is called Fresh Start Cherokee. You'll see the flowers on the wall and some of our brand's tagline and story with dig, grind, and hatch that really captures the spirit behind not only the history of our county, but also just the spirit behind entrepreneurship, that we have a community of people in Cherokee County. We want to help them develop their business ideas, start from scratch, give them resources and a community to belong to. So every program that we do comes out of this Fresh Start Cherokee initiative. So the Lunch Circuit is one example of that. We gather around, we listen to one entrepreneur every month to share their stories of entrepreneurship, tell us their wins, their losses, as well as the lessons they've learned along the way. We have a program called 1 Million Cups. It's out of the Kauffman Foundation. We started this back in February of last year. It's one of now 10 chapters in the state of Georgia, about 150 plus chapters across the country that are designed to gather people in a room for one entrepreneur to present their company and to really crowdsource solutions to their problems amongst peers as well as mentors. It's been a great program. There's free coffee, so make plans to come first and third Wednesday of every month, right here in this spot, first Wednesdays from 9 to 10, and third Wednesday we hit the road to really spread it across the county. So it's a great program. We have another group that's been meeting for over a year now, early mornings, first and third Tuesday, called Creative Problem Solvers. And this is a group of entrepreneurs and business professionals that have really said, you know, we don't want to just network and pass out cards. If we're going to be in a room together, then we want to maximize our time, and how do we really solve problems? What keeps you up at night? Why do you get up in the morning? And how do we solve all these things together? So that's a pretty interesting group. And then a little bit about the circuit, for those of you who might be new. This is Cherokee County's first co-work space. Old Woodstock Elementary, this basketball gym. Some of you may have played games here. Anybody? Yes, all right. Does it feel smaller today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's funny how that works. And this was a vision really from our office, and we partnered with 3 other entities to make this happen. Chattanooga Technical College, obviously, this is their Woodstock campus, and it's open to students, so they can come here and hang out, work, and study between classes. They can also collaborate alongside of other entrepreneurs who work here and rent desks and offices, as well as are part of programs like this. And so these are some of the faces of our community. We've got 27 members from 22 different companies that work here most days during the week, and they're just an amazing group of people with a host of different backgrounds and talents. We still have memberships open, so if any of you know somebody who wants to get out of the basement and away from the coffee shop and belong to a community, just let us know. And of course, special thanks today. We couldn't do this without our team, as well as the awesome food from 441 South Barbecue. Did you guys enjoy that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. They have a retail location now up in Canton, off Reinhardt College Parkway. I'll get it right. I asked him today, I said, how are you doing? You guys just opened 6 months ago. He was like, man, it's been wide open. It's way more than we could have ever anticipated. And I said, well, how many people do you have helping you? And he was like, well, the thing about that is it's mostly me. I've got 2 or 3 employees. So this guy gets up every morning at 5, works his butt off all day till most nights at 9 p.m., and then also does catering on the side. So it's an incredible story. I highly recommend their food. I know you guys just had it, but definitely support their business in Canton. They just started from a food truck, so it's pretty impressive how far they've come. And then our partners over at Woodstock with their In Woodstock brand. So real quick, why the lunch circuit? Because this is one of our flagship programs that we started almost 2 years ago. And there's 3 reasons. One, because of stories. We believe stories are powerful. They connect with you. They bring relevancy. They give you inspiration, but they also get you in front of people who are real. 2 would be community. We think being intentional about gathering together often is helping, and we need that. And then 3 is waving the banner of entrepreneurship. And so I hope you guys are excited about today, and I want to tell you a little bit about John before he comes up. But before I do, these ladies are going to move this behind me. So everybody get out your smartphone real quick. We're going to try something new. This website, slido.com. Go to your browser, pull up the website, slido.com.
What is it again?
SLIDO.com. Then when you get it pulled up, you want to enter the event code using the hashtag lunch circuit. I know we're getting really text out of here, so I appreciate you guys being patient. Once you type the lunch circuit in, you'll see an option for a poll that you can take at any point during today's program. But really, the more exciting part is questions. So if you're an introvert, or if you would rather not have your questions asked out loud, or we don't have time to get to your questions at the end, this is a great way for you to put your question in the app. It will pop up toward the part when we ask Q&A, and I'll probably pick from a few to ask John as well as doing live. So it's a gamble. Don't let it distract you during John's time with us, but if you have questions, please put them in there, and you can also vote on each other's questions so that we can really hammer each other's sense of worth, right, by not getting voted. So please use that. We're going to start using that each time. Question? Is it working?
Well, no, so your questions in real time?
Well, so you can go ahead and put them in now, and we'll ask them at the end. Yep. Good question. Thank you. All right, so real quick about John Mercure. So he's the founder of Raydeo Enterprises. Started 35 years ago. Is that right, John?
It was 1987.
1987. That was a good year. 36, 37 years ago, Raydeo Enterprises started, I love this, this comes from them, so I wanted to read part of it. They didn't start out as a commercial construction fabrication firm. The company owes its humble beginnings to the 2 brothers, Peter and John. The name Raydeo was derived from Peter's rock opera outfit called Raydeo Ranger and Planetary News. In order for the band to generate funds for their equipment, music videos, and touring, John and Peter made neon signs for businesses around the area. 30 years later, as of March 2017, it says that they may have lost the neon signs and the keytars, but we still have that creative spark that drives us to create amazing original products. And so from 2008, with 32 employees and $4.5 million in revenue, they've now grown to approaching 90 employees in 2018 and over $15.5 million in revenue. So there's been obviously a lot of success to John and his company and his amazing, incredible team. And so we want to hear some of that story. So would you guys welcome John Mercure?
Hey everybody. I don't know if I need a mic.
Hey, John. We'll try.
Anybody need a mic on me? All right. Unless you need it, I won't it.
We've got it there for option. So, well, John, we like to start these off. So, what we'll typically do is we'll talk to John and get his story for about 30, 40 minutes. Then we'll turn it over to you guys and do some Q&A. So, we like to start off with some icebreakers, if that's okay.
Cool.
I mean, if you would have said you're not cool, I still would have done it.
I know.
All right, so I know that you're pretty savvy on social media, right?
Okay.
Maybe. Sum up your personality in a hashtag.
Eccentric.
Eccentric. Does he need a mic?
Yeah.
You need a mic?
People saying yes.
Yeah. All right. That's fine.
All right.
Eccentric.
There you go.
Much better.
How do you drink your coffee?
It's a double blonde espresso with coconut milk and honey.
Are you making that up?
It's called the Coco Doppio. I invented it.
Wow. All right. Never know what you're going to get when you ask these questions. What would be your walk-up song if it wasn't already played?
This is a good one. The Banana Boat song. Dale! Dale!
Love it. What would, Mac or PC?
I'm a PC guy.
Always?
Always.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
What about your favorite season?
That's a hard one. I like them all, but the summer.
Summer. Okay. Best muscle car, and be careful, there's a room filled with people here.
69 Rally Sport convertible Camaro.
All right. And I couldn't identify that on the street to save my life. That's what what color? There's a follow-up.
Black.
Right. Favorite movie growing up?
Ooh, another hard one. I got to read back on this one to see because I can't. Oh, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Good choice.
That was a good movie. What superhero would you be and why?
The Watchman. He's all knowing and wise. He has no beginning and he has no end.
Wow. All right. This says a lot about where we're headed.
I'm sorry.
No, there's no wrong answers with the lightning round questions. All right, so start us off by telling us a little bit about you, your background, and also what life was like growing up.
Well, I was the last of 8 children of a Lockheed family. I was kind of called the Whoops baby, or as readily known as Gunsmoke, which I figured out at 14 years old why. It was because it was a rerun. But nonetheless, it was great. It was awesome. I had 7 older brothers and sisters, all of them very talented, all of them very aggressive into what their own things are. A mother that had an eccentric sense of everything. So she was into art. She painted, she sculpted, played piano, played the organ, hosted what they called the Bridges events during that time, worked around the church, worked around the community. I don't know if she actually ever slept, all right? And my father was a Lockheed man, but he had served in the Marines. He had come from a family of aviation out of Michigan. And we were always brought, you know the Johnny Cash song, you know, where he's made the car out of all the different parts that he's brought from the factory? We made a lot of things out of those parts that came from Lockheed, okay? We had some very interesting and creative devices, carts, go-karts, motorcycles, pieces of art, you name it, we had it. It was great.
So what was it like being the youngest?
Well, besides being taped to the dog bed, held underwater, taught to ride a motorcycle on the front of the handlebars with a belt strap, it was good. I mean, the great part about it is this, is they were all a little older, and as they got older, you were able to watch them and share their stories. And that's the real honest part of it about there, is that whatever mistake they made, I tried to figure out how to make a new mistake along the way instead of the same mistake that they made. And then it created kind of this collective pool of mistakes not to do as we went on down the road. So, and the mistakes that they made helped propel what it was I was able to do with that information that we went along. And it was just through the osmosis of being a part of that big family to get where we needed to be. And I contributed to a lot of how I've been able to kind of maneuver my way to where I am today.
So tell us a little bit more about how you landed in Cherokee and then why you continue to stay here for everything.
Now that's a very interesting story. My lovely wife Beth over here decided one day that, hey, we need to have a farm. We lived in Cobb County. We'd been in East Cobb. We'd gone to Marietta area. We'd gone to North Cobb. The business was located on Cobb Parkway. It took us about 54 minutes to commute 7.5 miles to get there. The traffic was tough. It was a great community, great places, great schools, great people. But as we all know, it was expanding really rapidly. And at that time, we made this conscious decision to go out and quest to the more subtle farmlands of Cherokee County and go deep north. And I mean, a year and a half of date nights later, walking through more woods, getting chiggers, being scratched up by blackberries, looking at things, chased by goats, chickens, cows, whatever you can imagine. Boom! Here we go. We found the place. And it was a little old barn house type thing with 2 bedrooms up top. And I think it had a helicopter or something. The gentleman was a televangelist. And the grass was like 6 feet tall. And she says, I hear something. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, what is it? And she goes, it's water. I'm like, water? Hear water. Let's find the water. So we traipse through the woods. We find this beautiful creek. And she goes, we're home. I went, awesome, man. Let's make a deal. And I said, let's tear down this place and build it on. She goes, not on your life. And we proceeded to build this home, this farmhouse that we live in, or barn house that we live in, out of the sticks, stones, and woods and rocks that existed on the property from the old mills where the one-lane bridge is up in Ball Ground, and including a giant koi pond by accident, letting a little labor go a little loose with the shovel a little too long. It was cool. Got some big koi. Even Aaron likes it. And that's what got us there. And as we did it, we were reverse commuting. You know, we had already bought the business up here.
No, we did. We moved the business first.
We had moved that, so I was reverse commuting up to Airport Drive or Wilbanks Industrial. And there's that drive when you crest over the hill, you know, when you're at, like, I think exit 16 and you see and you're like, oh my God, that's cool. You know, I still love that every time I come home from the airport or Atlanta or anything else, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so we made that migration. We lived in a camper. I've never stayed a day in my camper in my life for 30 days. We made this house inhabitable. We said, hey man, let's quit and get like some farm animals. Yeah. So we got chickens and goats. I think we had ducks first. We got ducks that me and the kids learned how to fly off the driveway. So we toss them up in the air and then fly down and hit the barn and go down and collect them and go do it again. It was fun. It was, we got goats, you know. I never knew that goats actually don't eat anything but electrical wire, plastic, and beer bottles. It's amazing that an animal can live on that, and I think this should be in every public dump that's out there.
Cheapest farm animals for maintain, right?
Awesome.
Smart. So beyond goats and water-filled houses, you have a business that's been here
Yep.
for a while now. Before we hear the story of that, tell us how you would define what an entrepreneur is, because we're fascinated at how people define that.
When I'm really looking, I wrote a really good answer, but I think I'll make up a new one as we go along the way right there. All right? But,
You can't consult your answer sheet.
okay, I'm gonna have to put this down. Now, I mean, to me, what defines an entrepreneur is this: is number one, it's I went out there and I worked at Home Depot, and so I knew what that was like during its transitional state while I was going to college. But I came out and I just said, you know, I'm a person who likes to control my own destiny. I hate the thought of anything that's addictive that controls me in any way. I don't think the only things that do that are your obligations. And I thought that entrepreneurship is one of those things where you just say, hey, I'm gonna go do this today, come hell or high water. You beat your head against the wall as long and as hard as it takes till the wall falls down. And as you can tell, I've got quite a flat head. So the meaning of it is that you start to control your own destiny, and I'm a very people person type guy. And I love that I get to work with all different kinds of people in all different kinds of places. So it could be that it was an aquarium or the Smithsonian or a stadium or whatever. It's a new topic on a new day in a new way. And it allows my sense of ADD entrepreneurism to continuously and ever expand and lead you back all the way to one of the first questions you asked. If I was a superhero, who would I be? The Watchman. I have no beginning and I have no end. And so as I see that and I saw the fruits of it, what I thought was really cool that I didn't even think about, because first you say, hey, it's a self-serving interest. I want to make some money. How do I do that? How do I get these people to help? How can I share? How can I be in that? Well, then later on, as it gets bigger, you're like, damn, man, these people are like getting married and growing up and having kids and buying houses. And wow, man, I want them to kind of get like, do what I did, or because it was cool, you know? And so I wanted to be able to share, and I don't mean it from any sanctimonious, holier than that way, but I just really wanted, I enjoyed it, and why shouldn't somebody else enjoy it too along the way? So my hopes is that everybody I get to touch along the way gets a little piece of that and gets to go on their way. And as people leave me to go start their own business and go do their things out here, I have a certain gentleman over here to this side over here that went off and started several businesses along the way right there. And I mean, it makes me really proud to see that, you know. What about you, Rob Webb? So to me, an entrepreneur is a guy who starts something, agrees they're going to finish it, and gathers the people and processes in order to get to the finish line.
That's good. So, we've talked to a lot of people in your seat, right, over the last year and a half or so, and there's a lot of common threads. One of them being typically a successful entrepreneur is somebody who knows the risks or is willing to take the risk, and then they keep going, right? Or they see the reward and they don't stop. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think that it's not just taking the risk, but there's this thing they call business intuition, which goes against the analytical values of what we see on Wall Street. It calculates everything down to the penny and the dime. And no disrespect to my banking community, to have some here at this time, but they're ones that calculate the odds on a win on it every day, and they secure their wins by securing their position at 3, 4, 5 times the collateral position. An entrepreneur looks at it in a different way. In my opinion, this is just a mine, and says, hey man, I think this is a pretty good idea. My guts feel pretty good about this offering that I could have, whatever that is. And I think I'll take a chance on this and invest in that. And that could be from the basis of a piece of property, a regional area, or a business segment that you want to step into. And it goes that my history says that that's the truth, because it started as a neon sign, and we said we could do that, and we got into the museum business. My good friend here, Keith Lutz, and I got into another business called Icon doing museums, and that opportunity was there, and you just feel it, and you say, hey, that's a good one, but they ain't all winners.
Yeah.
There's some that are losers.
I want to get to that in a minute too. So tell us a little bit more of the story of Raydeo. So I know I mentioned a little bit at the beginning, but kind of you got your start with Neon, and then you move into adding these different service lines.
Yeah, I mean, it really started a little bit before that. So I was a problematic child in high school, although I had good grades and was a good athlete. I was what we call a disturbance to the force there.
Those are the best entrepreneurs, right? Problematic child.
My principal was a very wise man. He came to me in the last quarter of the year and he said, Mr. Mercure, we have you set up with a job at the Home Depot. We have you set up to enroll in classes at Kennesaw College. And we respectfully request that we're going to take our pictures for your superlatives and never have you come back on the campus again. I went, but I was really enjoying this last week. They go, we know, okay?
Too much.
So when they did this set me up as a job, they had a guy that hooked me up with a job. It wasn't like a gimme job, but it was just, hey, I have this guy. I went out and met these guys at the Home Depot. There were 4 of them at this time. And I became a lot guy pushing the cart around, bringing them from the inside. And then kind of maneuvered my way through there. I got to write in-house advertisements and carry the great Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank and Pat Fair. I can't remember the 4th dude's name because he kind of faded quick. But had these rallies. These guys had brown Toyotas selling to liftbacks with louvers. Yeah, this was awesome. And I was like, and so they came every Saturday and they engaged us and embraced us. And they really empowered you to think that, I mean, I didn't know who these dudes were. I mean, really, these guys were gonna make us at one point come up with this thing they called inventory, and we had to stick stickers on every single thing in the entire, you know, I'm like, this is the stupidest thing in the whole world. And this day, I'm still fighting with that, trying to get inventory in my place. But it started there, so I had this kind of organizational scenario, and they put us into sales as we got to be, not knowing anything about lumber or concrete or anything. They said, hey, this is a great way to get you into retail. You're now a lumber expert. So as we did that, I got to write the ads on. I said, you need a stud. The Home Depot's got your stud for 99 cents back in the building bill, you know? And you got to play with it, you got to playful with it, and you got to move on, and you learned about the product, you learned about the material, and it let you go. And you saw what these guys were doing, and they were honorable enough to share the experience of letting you get involved. You know what I mean? And so while I was doing that, going to college, it was problematic. They would have worked me more than I wanted to work. I was trying to get through, took another job with another brother doing furniture restoration. He had a local business here in Cherokee County called Christopher's. Did antique restoration. Loved that job, it was cool. And another brother came up with a cooler idea. Like, hey dude, look man, we do neon in bars. There's a lot of girls, you're drinking. It's fun. And I'm into music too. I said, awesome! So I jumped ship from one brother, went to the other brother, and he had a few customers. We were doing, they had bumpers, I think was the name of a bar in the 80s. We all had really nice mullets too. I mean, really nice mullets.
Nice mullet. Those.
I'm telling you, it was good stuff, okay? They didn't make hats big enough, so I had to have something. But, so it started down that, and as people would ask, can you do this? The answer is, I'm gonna get right back to you. And then I come back and go, we figured out how to do what that is. And y'all may be familiar with a gentleman by the name of Portman. It's an Atlanta great in real estate. So he was in the midst of developing stuff, and he said, hey, can you do this? I'm like, yes, I can. And we started doing little storefront work. You know what I mean? So the storefront work led to that. It led to buying a little millwork shop so we could support that side, buying a little metalwork shop, and it just kept expanding. All this time we were working on this icon industrial imagery with Keith Lutz and a gentleman by the name of Lincoln Stone. Amazing artists, talents that you just got to learn more. We had the honor of doing Fernbake, Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian Institute's Postal Museum, several others all around the country. Just
talk about some of the Atlanta stuff you've done downtown.
Yeah, so as we got into the downtown areas, we started attacking the mall sides. You know, so it wasn't just museums. Raydeo was over here in the commercial side. Lincoln Stone was, and Icon was over here on the public sector. So we got involved in doing Greenbrier Mall, which I don't even know if Greenbrier Mall exists anymore, but we did Greenbrier, South Lake Mall, and the mall explosion just came about. You know what I mean? It was like mall-mania going all around, and there were more neon and more signs and more store fixtures and more storefronts and stuff like that. It was just this amazing going around with a stupid business card in my hand and sticking it in the construction window was the best sales lesson I ever got, because it was just an empty space and it had to be something. And I figured it was going to be something. Why don't call me? I'll figure out how to get it in there. And it worked, and it started creating this brand, this popularity to get down there. All the while we were trying to sell a music deal around New York, Chicago, LA, Atlanta. You know, we went to all the different parts.
So what have you done at, what part of Raydeo is at SunTrust and then Mercedes-Benz?
So SunTrust, Mr. Greg Payne was managing our project at that one, and we got to engage Mortensen Construction on that, and we did all the wood trellis, as we call him, Big Wood Greg, because of that. So all the epay, I think he has the single largest buy in the history of America for 2x12 epay. We killed a lot of trees on that. We came back in and did the chop house. We did a thing called, for Miller Coors, they're called the super coolers. So on a hot 110-degree day, you can drop your beer down inside this bar rail right here. Eric Atkins over here is a gentleman that headed that one up with Mr. Greg Payne as well, and you could drop your beer in there and get it to 23 degrees with a little slushy ice on the top, and there ain't nothing better, all right? So that's what we did at SunTrust, along with some of the interior spaces here and there as it goes on. Once we start, we just don't really stop. At Mercedes-Benz, we bid the millwork package, we bid the railing package. We decided to stay focused on railings. My brother Jim's not here today, but he headed up that project for us out there. I think it was our 7.5 miles in our largest project as of that day of rails that had a 72% scope change by the time we ever actually got to make a rail.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So we started thinking one thing and we built an entirely different thing by the time we were done. And since then, we changed a lot of that too, but we not only did that, we came in for a save, we did all the Bud Club, the Bud Light clubs, part of Arthur Blank's club, Gold Wing Club, certain specialty areas, the AT&T area. I mean, the list just kept going on because as they ran out of people, we just kept supplementing the equation and getting it ready for game day.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about, this topic of self-awareness is fascinating, and it's especially hot in the entrepreneurship world. Everybody talks about being self-aware and being aware of yourself, especially when you work alongside of a large team like you do. How do you interpret self-awareness, and what does that look like practically for you as you lead Raydeo?
Well, I asked my son this question last night because I don't know who actually quoted this, but it said, "Strip a man of all he is, and who is he?" Somebody here knows who was the author of that line right there. And it goes back to the times of Greek mythology. And I've always remembered it because I said, if I don't have Raydeo, if I don't have my family, my wife, my kids, my brothers, my sisters, my kids, who am I? You know what I mean? Because when that question, I read it, I'm like, oh my God, who am I? And I really think that as I go back to the thought of the watchman with no beginning and no end, you are everything that you come along, that you learn. Is it nature versus nurture? You know what I mean? And it's really all those parts and pieces that are in there. So to be self-aware is to be realistic as to who you are, what qualities and skills you have, and realize your deficits more importantly than even what your strengths are. Because your deficits, you need to fulfill yourself with others that are contributors to that in order to make the greater good serve to propel it forward.
That's good. Did somebody find out who wrote that? No? We'll look at it.
Looking, it's going to come up with some really weird looking sites.
don't
I'm
Google
just
it.
going to let you. So if we have that shock look on somebody's face, we know which one you found. Okay? Rob, don't blow it.
What advice are you glad you ignored, and why?
We can't
Yeah, that's it. We can't do that. What? That was a challenge, right? Yeah. That's like number one. My mother, God rest her soul, amazing woman, like I said, perpetually was concerned about me being an entrepreneur. I'm talking about for 15 years, and I was very close with her, wonderful woman, very close to her, spent a lot of time with her. She'd go, "John, that entrepreneur thing that you're into, you need to just go ahead and take one of those jobs one of those big fancy companies wants to give you, and go be a pharmaceutical salesman. Get into that industry right there. You have amazing talent as a salesman and a speaker. Why don't you go use that to make a good, just consistent living and let the great corporations of America take care of you?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm not quite sure that's going to work for me, And so 15 years later, my mom comes in, there's probably 45 people working, busy like bees, and she's coming around the plant, she's like, comes in, she goes, "Oh my God, son, you have a real business." And that was great because her advice that I didn't listen to was, go the conventional path. And I I didn't even know what it is. I don't even, as my kids are coming into their game, as Drayton, he's joined the firm, he's worked in sales before at other organizations. He has his own entrepreneur outfits that are going on. My daughter Shelby does it as well. And I'm saying, hey man, just keep following your path. So it was the bad advice that the mom gave that I didn't follow, and then there was the good advice that I followed. Because she also said, hey, you need to experience the world. You need to see what it is. This may be good, but that may be better. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid to wander a little bit along your journey to wherever it is that you're going. And so it's a great balance. You know what I mean? And I see my kids working back and forth, the pros and the cons, the goods and the bads, as they go through it. They're just smart enough and they buckled down, did real good in school, didn't, get requested to leave or anything. Thank you.
Yeah, right. So you have an interesting story or connection to Ty Pennington.
I do.
Does everybody know who that is? Yeah, okay. Tell us.
Good buddy of ours, Rob and I especially, so we grew up with him. A lot of playful moments growing up, and at one time we decided it'd be a really good idea if we got an apartment together. I'm not sure if that was a good idea. But we got an apartment together over in the Cumberland Mall area, and we were actually, he was always drawing, I was always writing. We had this fantasy scenario where we were going to write this kind of comical children book equation. Hey man, sounds like a good reason to get an apartment in Atlanta. So we did, and I think our first mission was they were building the 285-75 interchange right there, and they were blasting rocks. So we said, hey, you see that rock? I see that rock. We go out there and we get this rock that must have weighed 500 pounds, okay? It was insane. It was a big disc-like shaped piece of granite. And we're out there and we're like pry-barred it up. We get it into the Volkswagen van. It bends it. We get it, we can't get it out at the car wash. We have to wash it in the van, okay? We get back to the apartment. I think, Rob, you got in on this journey getting it out, didn't you, that day? I mean, one of these many journeys.
It's amazing somebody didn't lose a finger.
So we're taking this giant rock, we roll it out of the van. Fortunately, we lived on the bottom flat, and we come and we break every single concrete step to get this down into this flat, okay? We crack every single one. We get in there, we're like, okay, what are we gonna do with it? Somebody finds something. So I think Rob ran over and he finds this wooden crate or something totally inappropriate for what we were using it for. And we managed to flick this amazing rock on top of it. This rock was the greatest thing in the history of time for people of our age that were spilling beer and spilling drinks and stuff, because it absorbed everything. The only way you washed it is you sprayed it down, the rock sucked it up and just ate it. It was great. So I thought that was a good idea, so we decided to paint everything. Our entire apartment was a mural. Okay. It was a mural, it was decorated with old signs, it was decorated with neon, we had secret traps to shock people. So it was a never-ending comical adventure of, it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High in a whole nother way, you know what I mean? At Cumberland Club, I think that was the name of it, Cumberland Club, it was. And it was just a ball, so we did journeys together, did projects together, we did separate ones, and he ended up taking one path and I ended up taking another, and we just seemed to bounce together as good old friends every once in a while now.
Never wrote the children's book?
Well, yeah, they're not anything that we could actually publish until our children are old, so yeah, they gotta get a little older and have their careers established. They were quite funny.
So talk a little bit about mentorship. Because that's a big deal to our whole team, but as well as the programs that we're launching. Who has shaped you the most in your life, and why would you say they've left an impact on you?
Well, I hate to be cliches because I'm sure that Arthur Blank's influenced a lot of people in the Atlanta or Georgia area right there, but and this is a dumb story, but a good one. The reason why he remembers me is that on Saturday, I had sunglasses on one day, and he goes, "You need to take the sunglasses off, Joe." I'm like, probably not a good idea. Yeah, go ahead and take those off. I took them off. He goes, "You need to put those sunglasses back on." He goes, "I have never seen a black eye that bad in my entire life, right?" So now, from those days, like 35 years later, I'm giving a little speech out at the Dome before it got shut down for the helmet walls that were out there, this big giant helmet wall where all the high schools, the GHSA helmet wall. And he looks at me and goes, "Hey man, aren't you the guy with that really bad black eye?" This guy took a vision along with these other guys' visions, and I saw that, and I'm like, man, this is like, wow, how do you do this? And how did you get to this far? And as we fought along the creative path, because we were so creative and we had so many creatives in our creative pool, we were creatively creative, it almost like it truncated growth. It kept us from growing because we focused so much on making one thing, we couldn't make more than one thing. And I came across the likes of a gentleman named David Sawyer. All right, and David Sawyer was connected to another one named Jody Hughes at Western Tel, and build Boeing and Boeing aircraft. And they wanted to become the number 2 to Starbucks by creating what was called the coffee station. And all I was consulting on making a 3-dimensional sign. And I made this sign, well, made it for the designer buddy of mine. And they're like, hey man, they want you to come into a meeting. I'm like, really? Like, I'm just the sign maker, dude. I'm like, yeah man, you need to come to the meeting. I'm like, hey man, what do you think? I'm like, oh, well, that makes the shit look like a train. You know? And so they took us at that moment, and this David Sawyer guy was kind of this crazy guy, all right? And I love this guy, as rich as could be, flew in private jets, and he's one of these guys. But he would also come to your house, and you know, and we had lived in a modest house in East Cabo there at Oak Knoll or something, and he was the guy that slept with your basset hound on the couch too. This guy was a mentor beyond mentors. He showed me what the meaning of real financials were, creative financials were, okay? He showed me what the meaning of multiplicity was and how to control that but not get caught into the rat race of producing the same thing over and over again. He had a mission to create and own every captive audience spot in America, and we damn sure went out there and tried to do it with the Empire State Building, the World Trade Center, LaGuardia Airport. I mean, it was hit after hit all the way down to Hollywood Boulevard, right? So we were working in the concept of multiplicity, but yet maintaining the creative opportunity and offering that we had. And I couldn't think of a greater blessing. And I'm not gonna tell you the guy was the greatest moral, human, business, ethical guy, because he did end up in jail at the end of this quest. But what a great mentor.
And we're out of time.
Boom.
All right. Well, I mean,
You never know what you're gonna get.
well, that's true. Well, but you know, people talk about life comes in seasons too. So people land in our life in a certain season or two and have an impact, and then whether they disappear or not, but they left a lasting.
Yeah, I mean, I was so much. I mean, and I mean, he was a great, warm, loving person with a lot of care, but maybe his creative financial situations got to be a little more creative. But I got to meet people from China that wanted to be in the business and consult with them, and brought in front of the board of the New York Port Authority to present ideas, and got we won a record for getting a project through there the fastest that had ever been approved, and then got picked up by other people to go do more projects. So it was fun. It was good stuff. What a great mentor, you know? You have to take good with bad.
Right.
You don't have to take the bad. You can put that on the side. You know?
Eat the meat, spit out the bones, right?
Amen, brother.
How do you feel like, just looking back over the last 35 plus years, how do you feel like your company and your team have changed you?
I'd say the biggest part was where I started off in the equation and said that in the beginning I really thought it was all about me. And now as I've gotten older, I'm really trying to say it's all about you. I think John G's wearing a shirt that still bears that branding that we have, it's all about you. And the logic stream is that we've been blessed. We've led a great life. You know what I mean? We didn't want that much, but we have plenty. We have plenty to share, and then trying to get back. And we're seeing what it grows, and what's really happening, and what's cool about it is as that did, more people came to it, and then they gave more, and it got more. And even though you're giving more, you're getting more. I didn't even get how that principle works, but it actually does work. And so I don't think that you have to go and, I don't think you have to tear down a rainforest to do it. You know what I mean? I don't think that you got to treat people badly or enslave them in bad situations. You know what I mean? But we're trying, and I'm not going to tell you it's perfect, but I'm going to tell you that it's the try that counts, like the educational center that we have called the Apprentice Training Center, the ATC. Man, we don't know how to be at school yet, but we're trying to figure out how to teach people. So we're trying to take people that don't know anything and teach them how to be carpenters and metal workers and painters and finishers. We're taking people that maybe out of college that have great mindsets and skills and saying, hey, can we take that super brain of yours and leverage it this way? And then, oh damn, now you're teaching me? What the hell, man, you know? My guys here, Adam and Drain, are just like schooling them. Damn, like scared to turn the computer on in front of them now. You know, but it was the give and then get back 10 times over, right there. And so as we said, I hope we can continue to develop that. You know what I mean? There's lots of tricks and traps along those roads to try to get there. You expose yourself to a population of people that aren't necessarily folks that may have your best interest in mind along that journey. You know what I mean? You get hit here, you get hit there. But here's the great part. You don't get hit like that near as often as you don't get hit with the guy that comes and says, man, I love you, man. You changed my life. You know what I mean? And when you get that, you're like, damn. And if you look at our roster and you see the tenure of some of the people that we have there, I think that in my mind it tells us we're doing something right, okay? Because they're there. They're, as Keith coined a great word for me one day that I use like 800 times now. He used the word dutiful. I'm like, that's awesome, man. I'm not stealing that one right there.
What would you say is the toughest part of being an entrepreneur?
The bigger you get, the more responsibility you carry of humans. And humans are what this is all about, you know what I mean? If you fail, if you stumble, it may affect everybody that's there, and it mounts a lot of pressure. And as I've gotten older, I'm trying to say, hey man, I'm not trying to put this pressure on to make this pressure, but I want to make sure that this doesn't fail. So my buddy here, Preston Byers, who's our vice president, where are you hiding at, Preston? You're hiding somewhere on this table. Oh, he just went to the restroom. Hey, we'll talk about him while he's gone. Perfect, okay? So Preston came to me so he's probably in there going, oh hell, he's telling the story. He came to me when I think he was like 20 or 21, and his first day with me was on a design build in Buckhead for a place called the Eye Gallery that Rob really got me into a lot of trouble on this one. It's his fault. Now, Rob was helping with this thing, and we created this Disney-esque Wonderland thing that was beyond our ability to achieve. Okay, and we went and killed ourselves to achieve it. And Preston stuck with me till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, over and over. This dude just like walked in the door, and he stuck with me. And now, 23 years, is that what it was the other day? 22 years later, Preston's still there as the vice president of the company, right there, all right? And what I've been trying to share with him, and then trying to share with the project managers and the management team that we have there, is like, hey man, I'm not trying to dump this on your back, because I'm trying to make sure that we have enough dominoes at the bottom of the stack that we don't fall, man, because it's so much more than about me. It's about all this. And so if I fall, I need you to pick it up. You know what I mean? And us all manage little parts and pieces of that. And I don't know if that's the way they do it in real corporate America or not, or if there's some educable path that I should have taken, you know, to learn that thing before I tried it. But it is, oh, there he is. But it's working. I use like the guilt trip of, hey man, you still gotta get your kids through college stuff, you know what I mean? And don't you want to be around so they can. But I mean, it works, and it just is what it is.
That's obviously a testimony to you and the values that you built over time that come out of you into the company, right? I have so many other questions, but we only have time for me to ask one more, and then I've got to turn it over to the folks here. So, what is something that is next for you and/or for Raydeo that you would want to tell us about?
Wow, that's a big topic. We are engaging the first year of what we call an official profit share program. What happens to me, I want to happen to everybody else. That's the first one. It's part of the share program. The hopes is we get more people to buy in. As we do that, we're expanding. So we recently landed the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. I fly out next week and close on a new facility out there, which will be a showroom / we're going to call it a show shop, just because it sounds cool when we say show shop. And it'll be beautiful, stainless and glass and all this cool stuff that we've done at Ponce City Market and things we've done at the stadiums. And the idea is this, is here's a community, which, you know, most people don't think of Las Vegas as a community, but my 15 trips in the last 4 months tell me it's a community. And there's more people that were born and raised there than you would ever imagine in your life. There's more people that have moved there that have claimed it, but yet I fly over and I go, man, why did they put that there? Because it's something in the middle of a desert. What I found is with the community only has X amount of resources. Here we are in Cherokee County. We're on the edge of the city of Atlanta. We're all perimeter Atlanta. It's this huge population of humans that can drive there without dying in the heat, right? I mean, it makes a difference. And Las Vegas really doesn't have that. It's a place that's an oasis in a desert, an artificial one. And I said, hey, you know, I'm like, what the hell do they house out here in Vegas doing a stadium? Well, because they need us. And you know what else they did? I just, as we were walking around, because I've been there with a lot of the guys from the shop, we're like, damn, man, everybody needs us out here. They don't just need us in rails and stands. They need us in millwork. They need us in signs. They need us in our managerial expertise, our ability to run and manage projects. I'm like, this is a city with need that's on the grow, that's trying to do that. So, you know, reaching out there, trying to capitalize on it, do that. Well, all at the same time, you said the question of personally. So if you noticed, I'm bald and I have gray hair, okay? That means I'm getting older, all right?
How old are you?
I am 55 years old as of February 2nd, y'all. I'm a groundhog on a double nickel. So when I look at that, I'm trying to, when my wife said, hey man, is this my hour this week? You ask yourself the question of why did I miss anything, but there are moments that I missed, I'm sure, but I have had the honor of spending a great deal of time helping and coaching my son in wrestling, working with my daughter in her horse racing, working in the farm. I don't feel that I've been cheated or they've been cheated, but I do want to try to back down some of that heat and share that heat with others as they share in the pie. At the same time, we just continue to go because there was no beginning and there is no end. Y'all kind of stealing that line? Yeah, I'm sure the red ball.
I love it.
Yeah.
You are the new watchman. These chairs are really high, so don't jump off them.
It's careful. It feels nice too. I like it.
All right. So we've got about 15 minutes, and I want to turn it over to you guys for Q&A. There's several questions that have come through. There's quite a bit of questions that have come through.
Oh my God.
And everybody is
Same
afraid
one.
to vote for any of them. It's hilarious, actually. So they're all equal, which makes it really hard for me to choose which one to ask. So we won't start there. I'll start out here, and then I'll come back to the who's got a question. So David, go ahead.
What's your greatest strength? What's your greatest weakness?
The old SWAT. My greatest strength is my greatest weakness. My greatest strength is my love for people, and my greatest weakness is my love for people. You know?
Any strength in excess is a weakness.
It's a two-sided coin, right?
I was just saying, any strength in excess is a weakness.
Huh?
Here's a question that definitely needs to be answered out loud.
I didn't do that.
How did you get to resemble the fictional Marvel villain Wilson Fisk? Kingpin from Daredevil.
Well then, nature took its place. The course went on.
Wow, there we go. See, this makes it so much more interesting when we have questions that people are afraid to ask out loud. Another question from the audience, Russ?
Yeah, you know, as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of things that come about, and, you know, I like to use my favorite saying is, what the hell? Have you ever, has it been a time where you looked at something and said, you know, I just can't do that, it's not something I'm into, and then you find out it grows and you say, what the hell was I thinking? And has it ever been a thing that I'm never gonna let that happen again, so I'm really gonna do my due diligence and really look at it, make sure I can or cannot do it instead of just poo-pooing it?
You said that's your favorite saying? What the hell?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with you on that one right there. There's a daily breadbasket of what the hell. And why didn't I do that? You know?
Oh, I mean, it could be a nice saying, ugly saying, doesn't really matter.
I mean, I just think about the theory of what you just said, that there are a million opportunities I missed, and then I will say, what the hell? I come back to a spiritual position on that right there. And so I can't believe that it's all about me, and I believe that I'm guided by a higher power, and that I'm destined by that opportunity, and that by my faith. And that direction, when I go, what the hell, there was a reason. There's a reason I didn't go into pharmaceutical sales when I was in college. And the reason is I'd probably been on the road 300 days a year, and I would have met this wonderful woman right here and start my family. You know? I would be in Idaho or California or something like that, and I said, what the hell, I could have advanced the amount of dollars I made significantly earlier, but I may not have been in the same place I am today, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I justify a means to an end by saying, hey, what the hell, but hey man, I must have been led there for a damn good reason.
That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain the quote.
So Peter says, I is what I is.
It is what it is, Olive. Throughout the history of time, people try to mold you, and they try to make you something that you may not be. And I'm gonna pick on the banker again. Bankers want you to be what they want you to be because it's what their safe bet is to make money, right?
We want you to pay it back.
And I was in Sunday school one day. My wife said, hey, I really want you to just be quiet, okay? So I sat there quietly, and they went, I was like, I don't know, time 2 or 3, and they're like, hey man, like, you're never quiet. What's wrong? Nothing? Well, what's your opinion? I don't have one. We're thinking that's lying. Maybe. Well, why don't you share us about what your thoughts are? My wife's like, oh my God, you just opened up one right there. But I shared my story, and I was accepted for what my story was. It wasn't a bad story. It was just a different way of looking at something that somebody may have learned in a traditional manner from a book that somebody else wrote because that person wanted them to be what they wanted them to be by writing the book and having you read it. And I could write my own book, and I is what I is.
This one of the questions from the apps. Obviously, having a lot of radio people here brings quite a bit of color to these anonymous questions.
Scaring me.
All right, we're gonna get really deep for a second. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
Does a woodchuck have wood to chuck?
There you go. Also, hashtag purple unicorn.
Ooh, the purple unicorn theory. All right, this is a great one, brought about by Eric Atkins, another man with a very shiny head over here with a big grin on his face, my nephew. He calls it bringing in the purple unicorn. So he'd have a customer would be talking to him. He goes, "Hey man, I need the purple unicorn to come on in here and do a closer for me." And so the idea is bring the guy in that talks the, that makes the closing argument or the closing scenario that's behind there. And, being 6'6" and looking like Wilson Fisk, it drags a little bit of attention when you walk over.
John can be your fantasy, whatever your fantasy is.
It's kind of sick, but.
Today's your last day. Anybody else from, I don't want to keep going to the app. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years, John?
I've been trying to learn how to fish. I mean, really hard too, okay? My wife says I have more fishing poles than I've caught fish, and she's probably right, but I am trying. I'm reading, I'm learning, I'm going. But my hopes is this. My hopes is as my children go through their cycles and branch, I can be a part of what helps that branch. As my employees branch and go into their things, be it that they lead a department, they create a new division of interest or business that would want to be involved, that I can be involved in them growing and going. I don't have a desire to end. My wife testified, I'm not very good at sitting. It's just not about.
That's why he can't fish, is because he's vibrating all the time. Fish, no.
I mean, she did teach me how to read for pleasure. That was very interesting. I enjoyed that.
That's an interesting concept.
I mean, it is. It's. I never knew that books had like really cool stuff that was fun to read about, but I thought they were just to get information, So yeah, I see myself doing. I hope we're doing a little bit more. I hope I see myself re-engaging the arts community. I shared with you earlier relative to film, and that I've been opportunistic with my son. He's been working towards that alley as well, and like I said, we're trying to even take one of the buildings that we have and create a space that we can do our own video, our own film, our own stuff, just for the sake of doing it. My friend Quincy over here, wait till you see him come on TV soon.
So, biggest mistake you've made in business?
Damn, there's a lot of, biggest mistake I made in business. Damn, that's a hard one to pick right there. Probably not doing what I'm doing now sooner. You know what I mean? So you sit back and you look and say, hey, well, if I'd have done and started trying to branch and then spread this authority and spread these opportunities to other people quickly as opposed to holding them so closely to the sleeve and micromanaging them, I think that it would have been, instead of a $50 million business, it may have been a $50 million business. But you never know, because in that time of business, we've been through, what, 3 major economic downturns? I mean, major ones. And in the construction industry, these are hard hit. We follow the stock market. As it goes down, we know we're coming down, you know, in a year and a half after that, construction starts and architecture's slow. You don't know that stuff when you're starting, but then when you get in and you start seeing the cycle and watching the patterns, you see that that's what's happening. So it may not have worked at that time, and I may have crushed a lot of souls. So I'm going to take it as, again, some intervention to help me get where it was. So I'm going to take it as a mistake. I'm going to say that if it was, that was it.
Sounds like you have a good healthy dose of self-awareness.
Self-aware it is.
Right.
Any other, we got a few more minutes. Yes, sir.
What do you think your biggest challenges to future growth, and what do you do to, what's your plans on overcoming it?
Well, we're blessed to have an incredible brand. Ms. Mari Callahan back here helped us support break out of that many years ago by breaking it kind of part into 4 things people could understand easier, right? And then we really branded and we reached out to another gentleman, a gentleman by the name of Charles James, that helped us with another part of that puzzle that was in there. And so what we have is an excess of customers. It sounds odd. It sounds like a terrible problem to have, right? Well, in order to build quality employees, it takes time, efforts, and ethical opportunity to do so. The resources are limited in order to do that, and then you also have to have an educator mentality, not necessarily an entrepreneur mentality. Like I said, I was telling earlier, is trying to do that. So building employees allows us to have the excess capacity to accommodate the sales that already exist. But building that to where we can still deliver the same quality in a timely and safe and secure manner so that we can position our margins accordingly to keep feeding all these families as they grow is a strategic balance. And my hopes is, as I engage a community like this and I see you have your problem solving thing, you know what I mean? I throw this one out on the plate as saying, how do we train more people to work down this way? What is the right path? And who are the right people in the organization to teach those people what it is? Because whereas the watchman is fictitiously the all-wise and all-knowing, I am not. I just merely have no beginning and no end. So I think it's about the people. It's about building that staff to go there, because banks will come and give you money. You know, if you have a good plan, banks will give you money, and it's always a question. Equity partners will come and give you money if they think you have, you know, look, man, you have all this sales, let me give you some money. I'm like, that doesn't answer the problem. You know what I mean? How do you bring me an educator that helps me educate to get that going on down the road? And it's not just the new people that are off the street, but it's the existing people. And we run a hierarchical level, 1 through 5, and this is the theory that's patterned after the union. The objective is if I got a 1, I want to make him a 2, and if he's a 2, I want to make him a 3, and if it's a 3, I want to make him a 4. Because a man who's a 4 can do probably 2-3 times what a 1 can do. And everybody that came here into this room today that's from our group has grown through a whole lot of these cycles and is still growing through these cycles. And so now we're trying to capture that and put it in a book and put it in a bottle. Miss Lori Edge over here has been building our processes in these lovely orange binders for years. And was trying how to get it out there. Drake's been working on his scenario where he does the lunch and learns and debriefings that are going on down the road. And now they're starting to train people of like, well, oh, you really need to know what my job is so you can do your job a little easier. John G has come in here and he's been teaching people about how it is that we run, and we run a pattern and a process. Just like Arthur Blank made us stick the stickers on the pieces of wood and the freaking hardware. You know what I mean? It's regimented training, I think was the word we used yesterday.
That's good. Well, we're out of time, so if you guys have questions, grab John afterwards. We've got our step and repeat back here, so please feel free if he has a few minutes to take a picture with him or with each other as a group. But would you join me in thanking John for his time?
Thank you for having me.
Mark your memories, guys, for next time. If you enjoyed this program, we'll do it again on March 20th. So typically second Wednesday in March, we take a break because of our annual career expo. So that will be right before the next one of these. And for those of you who still have Google Maps and you're trying to find a location, thank you guys for everything. Feel free to hang around and network and grab some pictures. Thank you.
That was good. That was very good, yeah.